Offseason isn't done yet, as the Los Angeles Clippers have officially now traded Russell Westbrook to the Denver Nuggets, and it's not done yet. We'll talk about it all and more, break it down right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm one of the hosts here, Haize, holding it down on this breaking news episode. We have a trade that's official. Russell Westbrook is going to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Chris Dunn in a sign and trade agreement. So basically what this works out to is the Los Angeles Clippers are signing trading Chris Dunn. He's going to the Clippers, and Russell Westbrook is going to the Utah Jazz. It's already been reported that Utah Jazz will immediately be bought out as well by the Utah Jazz, and he does plan to go and sign with the Denver Nuggets. So there you go with that. Once he clears waivers, that could take a little bit of time, but it's going to happen. Russell Westbrook will be going to the Denver Nuggets long term, and this makes a lot of sense for the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets needed some more veteran depth as far as how many when you look at role players they've lost over the last few years, right? They keep losing role players on that Denver team. And Russell Westbrook's going to come in there and help continue, add something, maybe even be a spot starter at some point. How everything's going to work out is something that remains to be seen. But one thing about that Denver Nuggets team is they find a way to always use their role players. So, when you look at who they've lost over the last few years, they've lost Bruce Brown, they lost KCP in subsequent off seasons. Now adding Russell Westbrook to that team gives them another veteran presence at that guard position and somebody who can still score. Some of the narrative around Russ over the last few years has gotten to the point where it's been a little bit overblown, right? It's some of the narrative things with him. He's still a player that can be effective. Of course, he's not at the height anymore. He's not the player that's going to average you a triple-double or anything like that. He's no longer the MVP level Russ, but he is still a player that still very well can be productive for you. And so now you look at Russell Westbrook going to that team that has championship aspirations. Don't know how legitimate those are going to be for them this upcoming year, but this is still, like I said, a player in Russ that the Denver Nuggets are eventually get that still can be effective. 68 games played last year, only 11 points per game. When you look at the shooting splits, he still hit the ball 45% from the field, only 27% from three from Russ last season. But overall, the 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. This is still a guy that can be effective for you. And then when you look at him as a starter last year, starting 11 games for the Clippers, 14 points per game over that time, 45% shooting, 33% shooting from three, and still at that point getting you 7 rebounds and 6.5 assists with almost 2 steals per game as well. So Russ can still be effective. It's just what level is he going to be for that Denver Nuggets team? But they need it. The Denver Nuggets need the depth probably more than anybody else. And they're a team that's still looking and trying to find a way to be productive and still get back to being contenders after a disappointing end to their season last year. I like the deal overall for what it's worth. We know that the Clippers didn't really want Russ around anymore. They add now Chris Dunn, a point guard who's really kind of revamped his career with that Utah Jazz team as a really good defender still for that team. Still a player that's going to get you about 2 steals per game. So the Clippers, who are going to need some defense, still need some depth. Maybe we could take a look at that, but they're sending Russ out in that case, and we'll see how it works out for both teams. Utah Jazz, still a team that I think a lot of people are waiting to see how many trades they're going to make, whether it's before the season starts or during the season. Still reported Walker Kessler's on the trade block for them. Lauri Markkanen, we know that them and the Golden State Warriors have had extensive talks that haven't really gotten anywhere. So there are players. Jordan Clarkson's another one that they could eventually look to move. So a lot of players down there that they could look to eventually move off on from the Utah Jazz as well. So overall, that's the framework of the deal. Russ will be expected to sign with the Utah Jazz at some point, and that just is what it is. But you guys, as always, can let us know what you guys think down below. As always, make sure you guys are following the show at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799, with the number one spot for everything basketball related. And I'll see you guys the next time we feel like making a